Ebony Jackson is a single mom with 3 kids, Nate, Shantae, and Dre. They just moved into a new house again, 3rd time in a short period. It's not just them, though. Ebony's mother, Alberta, is with them, too. She's got cancer, and she recently turned to God. What she doesn't know is her insurance stopped covering her treatment. Instead of telling her, Ebony's been paying for it herself. Problem is, she's drowning in bills. She's behind on everything, and now debt collectors are coming after her. But money isn't the only thing pulling Ebony down. She's got her own demons, a criminal record, time spent in prison, and alcohol, her old friend and biggest enemy. When she drinks, she turns into someone else, someone who gets violent with her kids. That's why Child Protective Services got involved. They assigned a caseworker, Cynthia, to check in on them. Cynthia and Ebony? Let's just say they don't get along. Then things take a turn for the strange. Dre starts talking to someone nobody else can see, calls him Trey, says he lives in the basement and the bedroom closet. A dead cat shows up in the basement right by this big hole in the floor. Every time Dre goes down there, he comes back different, staring into space like he's somewhere else. It's not just him, though. Nate and Shantae start acting weird, too. One night, Ebony's drunk again. She hears this loud banging from the kids' room. She storms in, ready to lay down the law. Alberta, in her own room, hears the kids screaming and rushes over. She finds a giant hole in the wall, and there's Ebony sitting on the floor gripping a baseball bat. The kids are terrified. Ebony swears she didn't do anything. But the way she looks, the way the kids look at her, something is very wrong in that house. Cynthia finally tracks down Ebony after failing to find her at her old address. She shows up at the house, blunt as ever, asking about the bruises on the kids, but the whole family shuts it down. Ebony, the kids, even Alberta. They all swear up and down that Ebony didn't lay a hand on them. But there's something off in the air, something unspoken. While Cynthia's grilling them, the family notices a woman sitting in a car outside, just watching. No one recognizes her, but they figure she's got something to do with Cynthia. They go about their day, but things spiral fast. At school, all 3 kids have some kind of breakdown, screaming, convulsing, completely out of it. Teachers panic, ambulances are called, and before they know it, all 3 are in the hospital getting checked out. But the doctors, they find nothing, no reason for what happened. So, just like that, they're sent back home. Later, that same woman in the car steps up to Ebony. She's not from Child Services. She's a pastor, Pentecostal. Says she tried to stop something horrible from happening in this house 20 years ago. A mother lost her mind, killed her whole family, then herself. But the pastor, she doesn't think the woman just snapped. She believes something dark, something evil took hold of her. And now, it's back. It's inside Ebony's family. Ebony's not buying it. Sounds crazy. But then she steps into the house and sees Alberta's crucifix burning on the wall. And Alberta, lying lifeless on the floor. Blood on Dre's hands. Ebony's world shatters. The police take the kids. Ebony gets locked up in a hospital for a psych eval, but Cynthia, despite everything, steps in for her, talks the doctors into letting her go. A few hours later, she sees something that changes her forever. Dre. Silent, empty-eyed Dre, climbing backward up a hospital wall like something straight out of a nightmare. Cynthia finally believes. The pastor finds Ebony again, tells her there's only one way out. She prays with her, leads her through the sinner's prayer. For the first time in her life, Ebony opens up to faith. Then, in a move that should land them both in prison, the 2 women break into the hospital, snatch Dre, and take him home. What happens next is a war. The pastor tries a deliverance prayer, but the demon, Trey, isn't going down without a fight. Using Dre's tiny hands, it slaughters the pastor right in front of Ebony. Then it comes for her. Meanwhile, across town, Nate and Shantae, still in custody, start seizing, their bodies twisting like something is trying to tear them apart from the inside. Ebony fights back the only way she can. She grabs holy oil, throws it at Dre's body, prays harder than she's ever prayed in her life. But Trey is strong. Too strong. It overpowers her, nearly kills her. And then, in her last moment, Ebony does the only thing left. She calls on Jesus. The room explodes with power. Ebony, filled with something she's never known before, starts speaking in tongues. The demon thrashes, screams, but it can't hold on. One by one, it's ripped from her children, forced out, defeated. As it leaves, Nate and Shante, miles away, suddenly stop seizing, but not before they bleed from their hands and feet. Stigmata. After that, Ebony's done running. She and Cynthia make a pact. They're going to fight to get the kids back, together. And this time, Ebony's playing by the rules. Before parting ways, she hands Cynthia a cross necklace, her way of saying thanks, her way of saying, believe. 6 months later, the family is whole again. Ebony, Nate, Shante, and Dre pack up their things, pile into the car, and hit the road. Destination, Philadelphia. A fresh start. And as she pulls onto the highway, she drops one last bombshell. She and their father are getting back together. The story ends, but for Ebony, the real fight is just beginning.